Welcome to a realm where nightmares come to life, where the supernatural meets the macabre, and where every page turns into a spine-tingling adventure. Prepare to journey into the cryptic world of Eerie magazine. Join me on a journey back in time as we delve deep into the crypts of this iconic magazine, discover the visionary artists, the masterful storytellers, and the legacy that Eerie left behind. Eerie was a horror comic book magazine that was published by Warren Publishing from 1966 to 1983. It was one of the pioneering publications in horror comics genre during the 60s and 70s. Eerie was created to capitalize on the success of Warren's earlier horror magazine, Creepy, and it shared a similar format and style. The initial magazine came out in September 1966. It was printed in just 200 copies as a special ashcan version. Editor Archie Goodwin and letterer Gaspar Saladino quickly put it together, including a logo designed by Ben Oda. They did this to make sure that the publisher, Jim Warren, could claim the title. They found out that another publisher was planning to use the same name, so they rushed to establish ownership.
We launched Eerie because we thought Creepy ought to have an adversary. The Laurel and Hardy syndrome always appealed to me. Creepy and Eerie are like Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre.
They started selling the magazine officially with the second issue. It cost 35 cents. Inside there were scary stories with horror illustrations, and Archie Goodwin put them together. The front cover was drawn by Frank Frazetta. It also had a strange character called Cousin Eerie. This character was made by Jack Davis. Cousin Eerie introduces and concludes stories within the comics. He serves as hostess and he is also part of the Creepy family, including Uncle Creepy. Around the end of 1971, some artists from a studio in Barcelona, which was part of the Spanish agency Selecciones Ilustradas, started drawing for Eerie and Creepy, along with other Warren magazines. These artists were Esteban Moroto, Jaime Brocal, Rafael Aura León, Martín Salvador, Luis Garcia, among many others. In 1983, Harris Publication acquired Warren's assets, which included Eerie, Creepy, and Vampirella. They made just one more Creepy magazine. They wanted to make more, but they couldn't because of legal problems. Then, in 2000, after a long fight in court with Harris, Jim Warren and Warren Publishing finally regained sole ownership of all rights to his two iconic comic book franchises, Creepy and Eerie. Eerie magazine featured a rotating roster of prominent artists and writers over its publication history, contributing to its enduring popularity. Some of those prominent artists and writers who participated in Eerie magazine include San Julián. The Spanish artist San Julián created numerous memorable covers for Eerie, known for their vivid and haunting imagery. José González. González was celebrated for his beautiful and seductive vampire artwork, which became especially well known through his work on Vampirella, but also extended to Eerie. Tom Sutton. Known for his detailed and atmospheric artwork, Tom Sutton created unsettling visuals for numerous Eerie stories. Paul Neary. Neary's artwork added a dynamic and energetic quality to the magazine's pages, enhancing the visual impact of many stories. Billy Graham. Graham was a versatile artist who worked on various horror and suspense tales in Eerie, contributing to the magazine's diverse visual style. Ramón Torrents. Another Spanish artist, Torrents brought a unique style to Eerie with his distinctive use of composition. Aura León. The Spanish artist José Ortiz, known by the pseudonym Aura León, created visually striking and surreal artwork for Eerie stories. Jean Stenstrom. Stenstrom wrote several stories for Eerie, including some of the magazine's most memorable and chilling narrative. Bud Lewis. Lewis was a prolific writer for Eerie and contributed to many of its classic stories. often collaborating with artists like Bernie Wrightson. Bill DuBay served as an editor and writer for Eerie, contributing to the magazine's storytelling and direction. These artists and writers, among many others, helped establish Eerie as a premier horror magazine and left a lasting impact on the publication. Eerie was different from its companion Creepy. While Creepy featured separate stories in each issue, Eerie mostly had stories that continued from one issue to the next. Dax, the Warrior, was created by Esteban Moroto, who both drew the pictures and wrote the script for it. It had a total of 12 parts, appearing in issues 39 to 52. This series was actually a reprint of Moroto's earlier work called Manly, which first came out in Spain. It told the tough and sometimes scary adventures of Dax, a strong warrior. As Dax went on his journey, he met lots of magic users, witches, strange creatures, and even death. Curse of the Werewolf was a story originally written by Ol Milgrom, and it had drawings by Bill DuBay and Rich Buckler. The main character was Arthur Lemming, who was a kind Englishman. Unfortunately, he had a curse that turned him into a werewolf, and it caused a lot of trouble in his life. In the story, Arthur did some terrible things. He killed his wife, his daughter, a whole group of friendly gypsies, and even some of his friends and neighbors. Meanwhile, there was a man named Goodman Blacker who used to hunt werewolves but then became a magician. He tried to stop Arthur. This story was divided into 7 parts and was in issues 48 through 56. Child. Richard Corben drew the pictures, and it was written by Greg Potter and Bud Lewis. It's like a new version of the Frankenstein story, but in this one, the monster is more like a child. This story was divided into 3 parts, which are in issues 57 to 60. The Spook. At first, it was written by Doug Monk and drawn by Esteban Moroto, but after a few stories, the writer, Bud Lewis, and an artist named Leopoldo Sanchez took over. This story is set in the Old South during the 19th century. It's about a strong black zombie who goes on adventures. The story talks about slavery and how people from different races treat each other. This story was divided into 7 parts, which are in issues 57 to 66. Dracula. The pictures were drawn by Tom Sutton, and Bill DuBay wrote the words. This story was divided into 3 parts, which are in issues 46 to 48. In this story, Dracula is a character who first appeared in Vampirella. He is different from the usual Dracula because he is a good vampire lord. He goes around the world trying to help people, and he is also trying to find a cure for his vampire curse. The Rock. Bill DuBay both wrote it and drew the pictures. The main character is Resting Dane, who is a scientist. He comes from a family of scientists, and one of his family members is the character in H.G. Wells' book, The Time Machine. Resting gets his nickname because his time machine looks like a big chess piece called The Rock. He starts dressing like people in the Wild West and carries a gun. His first adventure with time travel is at the Alamo, where he goes to save one of his ancestors. He succeeds in rescuing his great-great-grandfather, and Bishop goes on more adventures with him. Resting also has 3 robots that he made, and they join him on his adventures. The story can be found in several issues of the magazine, including 82 to 85, 87 to 96, 98 to 105, 132, 134, and 136. It also appeared in Vampirella 70 and Warren Comic Presents too. There's even 40-issue series called The Rock, dedicated to this character. Eerie and its sister magazine Creepy play a pivotal role in pushing the boundaries of what was possible in comic book storytelling. They challenge the Comic Code Authority's restrictions on content, allowing for more mature and complex horror narrative. The magazine's stories and artwork inspired numerous filmmakers, writers, and artists. Elements of Eerie can be seen in the work of creators like Stephen King, Guillermo del Toro, and many others. Eerie magazine was a groundbreaking publication in the world of horror comics. It captivated readers with its macabre tales, haunting artwork, and iconic characters. With a talented roster of artists and writers, Eerie explored a wide range of horror themes, from classic monsters to science fiction. Its legacy endures as a testament to the enduring appeal of horror in the world of comics and storytelling. Eerie magazine remains a beloved and influential part of horror history.